All right, so picture this. You're in an English-speaking country. You're grabbing coffee, asking for directions,
Yeah.
maybe even chatting with some new friends.
Yeah.
It's not just about knowing the words, though.
Right.
It's about that feeling of ease,
Yeah.
in everyday conversations.
Yeah.
And that's what we're diving into today,
Uh,
how to unlock those smooth, natural English interactions.
yeah, I think what's interesting is we're going beyond textbook English.
Yeah.
We're looking at nuances and these kind of unspoken rules, the things that really make a conversation flow.
Yeah, exactly. We've got excerpts from a beginner English conversation course
Uh-huh.
as our guide today,
Okay.
covering everything from greetings to emergencies. But we're not just stopping at the surface.
Right.
We're going to really unpack the why behind the what.
Uh-huh.
So the cultural context, the psychology of communication, the things that make these phrases tick.
Because language is more than just words, right?
Yeah.
It's a reflection of culture, social dynamics, all of that.
I love that. So let's start with those crucial first impressions, greetings, and introductions.
Okay.
The course highlights how a strong start sets the tone.
Yeah.
But I'm curious from a psychological perspective, why is that initial interaction so important?
Well, I think about it in those first few seconds, you are forming an instant opinion about someone.
Right.
Are they friendly? Are they approachable? Trustworthy?
Hmm.
A lot of that is conveyed through nonverbal cues, of course.
Right.
But the words we choose play a big role, too.
That makes total sense. And the course gets into the subtleties of greetings like hello versus hi, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wondered, is there a deeper meaning behind those choices?
Absolutely. Hello is more formal, a bit more distant.
Right.
It's appropriate for professional settings or when you're meeting someone for the first time.
Right.
Hi, on the other hand, signals familiarity and warmth.
Yeah.
It implies a more relaxed relationship. And then you have those time-specific greetings, good morning, good afternoon, good evening,
Yeah.
showing that you're attentive and respectful of the context.
So it's like choosing the right tool for the job.
Exactly.
The greeting that best fits the situation and the relationship you want to establish.
Yeah. And it's not just about that initial hello.
Okay.
The follow-up is crucial, too.
Right.
We all know the classic, how are you? But the course points out that it's often more of a social ritual than a genuine inquiry.
Right, like a verbal handshake.
Yeah.
But if it's not a deep question, why do we even ask it?
It's about acknowledging the other person, expressing a basic level of concern, establishing a conversational flow. It's a bit like a dance you ask. They respond, you reciprocate.
Yeah.
And while I'm fine is the standard answer, the course encourages exploring other options. I'm doing well. Not bad, thanks.
Right.
These slight variations can subtly convey your mood and make the interaction a bit more personal.
It's like adding a bit of flavor to that basic recipe.
Yeah.
I remember when I was learning Spanish, I was so thrown off by the different ways people responded to, how are you?
Mm-hmm.
I realized it wasn't just about translating the words directly. It was about understanding the cultural context and the unspoken rules of the interaction.
That's a great point, and it highlights the importance of observing and listening when you're immersed in a new language environment.
Right.
Pay attention to how native speakers greet each other, how they respond, the tone they use.
Yeah.
Those are the real-life lessons you won't find in a textbook.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've nailed the greeting. Now let's move on to introductions.
Okay.
The course breaks down the classic, my name is.
Sure.
But I'm curious, are there any cultural nuances we should be aware of here?
It depends on the context.
Okay.
In a casual setting, a simple, hi, I'm your name is perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
But in a more formal situation, you might opt for, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is your name.
Right.
And don't forget the importance of eye contact. A firm handshake, those nonverbal cues can make or break a first impression.
It's amazing how much is communicated beyond the words themselves. I've definitely learned that lesson the hard way a few times. And the course really emphasizes remembering the other person's name.
Yes.
That seems simple, but why is it so important in those first encounters?
Think about it. What's more flattering than someone remembering your name?
Yeah.
It shows they were paying attention. They care about making a connection. It instantly makes you feel valued and respected.
Right.
It's a small detail that can have a big impact.
I totally agree. It's like that warm, fuzzy feeling you get when someone remembers your birthday or your favorite coffee order.
Exactly.
It makes you feel seen.
Okay. Now that we've tackled those initial introductions, let's move on to a skill that's crucial for any conversation.
Okay.
Asking the right questions. The course really dives into those who questions. What, where, when, why, how.
Right.
And emphasizes their power in unlocking information. But I'm curious, beyond just getting the facts, what's the deeper purpose of asking questions in a conversation?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
On a practical level, yes, questions are how we gather information.
But on a deeper level, they're a sign of curiosity engagement,
Uh-huh.
a genuine desire to understand.
Right.
Asking questions shows that you're interested in the other person and their thoughts and experiences.
Mm-hmm.
It moves the conversation beyond a simple exchange of information and into a realm of genuine connection.
That's a really insightful way to look at it.
Yeah.
It's not just about extracting information.
Yeah.
It's about building a bridge of understanding between two people.
Exactly. And the type of questions you ask can shape the direction of the conversation and the depth of the connection you create.
Right.
Think about the difference between what do you do for work and what are you passionate about.
Yeah.
The first is factual. The second invites the other person to share something more personal and meaningful.
It's like choosing between a closed-ended question and an open-ended one.
Uh-huh.
One leads to a dead end, the other opens up a whole new avenue of conversation.
And the course provides some fantastic practical examples for real-life scenarios.
Yeah.
How much is this? For shopping? Where can I find a taxi? For travel? What time does the movie start? For entertainment?
Right.
These are the phrases that equip you to navigate everyday situations.
It's like having a toolbox of essential phrases at your disposal, ready to tackle whatever communication challenge comes your way.
Right.
And I have to admit, sometimes even the simplest questions can be tricky when you're in a new environment.
Oh, yeah. I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
I once got completely turned around in a foreign city because I was too embarrassed to ask for directions.
Oh, no.
I ended up walking for miles in the wrong direction.
Seriously. I would have pegged you as a master navigator.
Not always.
Uh-huh.
But that experience really hammered home the importance of pushing past that fear of making a mistake.
Yeah.
Sometimes just asking a simple question can save you a lot of time and frustration.
And speaking of making mistakes, the course emphasizes the importance of politeness,
Yes.
even in those flustered moments. Adding phrases like, could you please, or, excuse me, may I ask, can make a world of difference in how your request is received.
Absolutely. Those little courtesies are like social lubricants.
Yeah.
Smoothing out the interactions, showing respect for the other person. It's about recognizing that even in a simple request for information, there's a human connection at play.
That's such a valuable reminder. Okay, before we move on to more complex conversations,
Yeah.
I have to share a story from my own language learning journey.
Okay.
I was once so lost trying to find my way back to my hotel in a foreign country that I completely froze up.
Oh, no.
I couldn't even remember how to ask for directions in the local language.
Oh, wow.
It was like my brain had turned to mush.
What did you do?
I ended up wandering around for ages feeling incredibly silly.
Oh, no.
Eventually, I found a kind stranger who spoke a bit of English, and they helped me get back on track.
Oh, good.
But it was a humbling experience that taught me a valuable lesson.
Yeah.
Practice, practice, practice. Even those seemingly simple phrases can vanish from your memory when you're under pressure.
It's a reminder that we're all human.
Yeah.
Language learning is an ongoing journey full of bumps and detours.
Yeah.
And sometimes those moments of feeling lost, both literally and figuratively, are the ones that teach us the most.
So true. Okay, we've mastered those crucial first interactions, those initial greetings and questions that lay the groundwork for any conversation.
Yeah.
But how do we move beyond the basics and start sharing our own world, making those conversations more personal and engaging?
Right.
That's what we'll explore in part 2 of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned.
All right. Welcome back to our deep dive into the fascinating world of English conversation.
We're picking up where we left off, exploring how to move beyond those initial greetings and questions
Right.
and really start building those conversational muscles.
In part 1, we talked about the power of first impressions.
Yes.
Those crucial greetings and introductions that set the tone for any interaction.
And we delved into the art of asking the right questions, not just to gather information, but to spark genuine connection and understanding.
Exactly.
Now we're going to explore how to share your own world, express your unique personality, and make those conversations flow naturally and effortlessly.
So let's dive into one of the most fundamental aspects of conversation, talking about our daily routines.
Yes.
The course we're using as a guide today really breaks down the simple present tense,
Right.
which is the key to describing those things we do regularly.
And it's not just about memorizing a list of verbs like wake up, eat breakfast, go to work, and relax.
Right.
It's about understanding how to use those verbs to paint a vivid picture of your typical day.
Exactly. Instead of just saying, I eat breakfast, you could say, I usually grab a quick coffee and a bagel on my way to work.
Right.
Or, I love to make pancakes with my kids on Sunday mornings.
Yeah.
Those little details give the listener a glimpse into your life and make you more memorable.
It's like adding spices to a recipe.
Yeah.
Those extra ingredients make it more flavorful and unique. And I think it's interesting how the course emphasizes the difference between routines and habits. They seem similar, but there's a subtle distinction, right?
Absolutely. Routines are those structured activities we do at specific times, like waking up at 7 a.m. or having dinner at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Habits, on the other hand, are those often unconscious actions we repeat,
Okay.
like biting our nails or cracking our knuckles.
And I have to confess, I have a slightly odd habit. I always organize my books by color.
That's actually quite a visually appealing habit.
Yeah?
I can see how that would be a conversation starter.
Uh-huh.
I, on the other hand, have a terrible habit of getting lost in thought while walking,
Oh.
which has led to a few embarrassing bumps into things.
No.
Not quite as charming, I'm afraid.
Haha. We all have our quirks.
Yeah.
But sharing those little things makes us more relatable and human.
Yeah.
And speaking of quirks, the course encourages us to share personal anecdotes
Yes.
about interesting or funny habits. It's a great way to break the ice and add some personality to the conversation.
It's like a window into our inner world.
Yeah.
A glimpse into what makes us tick.
Right.
And those personal stories are often what people remember most about us.
Totally agree. Okay, so we've talked about sharing our routines and habits. Now let's move on to another important aspect of conversation.
Okay.
Expressing our likes and dislikes. This is where things can get a little more personal, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. But it's also where conversations become more interesting
Yeah.
and we start to connect with people on a deeper level.
Right.
It's about sharing our passions, our pet peeves, the things that light us up and things that make us cringe.
And the course provides a range of phrases to help us express those feelings. From a simple I like to a more enthusiastic I love and everything in between.
And on the flip side, we have I don't like, I dislike, and even I can't stand for those things we really can't tolerate.
But even when we're expressing dislikes, the course stresses the importance of being respectful and finding a balance between honesty and politeness.
It's about disagreeing without being disagreeable.
Right.
For example, instead of saying, that movie was terrible, you could say, it wasn't really my cup of tea, or I didn't connect with the storyline.
Yeah.
It conveys your opinion without being offensive or judgmental.
It's a subtle but important distinction. It's like the difference between a slam dunk and a layup in basketball. One is aggressive and forceful. The other is more graceful and strategic. Okay, before we move on to making plans, I'm curious. What's something you absolutely love and something you really dislike?
That's a good question. I absolutely love exploring new cultures.
Oh.
Whether through travel, food, or music, it's like expanding my universe and challenging my perspectives.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I really dislike being in crowded, noisy environments.
Oh, yeah?
It makes me feel overwhelmed and anxious.
I can relate to that. I think we all have those sensory preferences that can either make us feel energized or completely drained.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about making plans in English. This is where those future tenses we mentioned earlier come into play, right?
Absolutely. The course focuses on two main ways to talk about future plans. Going to and the present continuous tense.
So if you say, I'm going to visit my family this weekend, it suggests a plan you've already decided on.
Right.
But if you say, I'm meeting my friends for dinner tomorrow, it implies a more fixed arrangement. Right.
Exactly. Going to is more about intention, while the present continuous is about a definite arrangement.
Okay.
And then we have will, which is more versatile.
Right.
And can be used for predictions, promises, and spontaneous decisions.
It's like having different tools in your conversational toolbox.
Yeah.
You choose the one that best fits the situation and the level of certainty you want to convey.
Right.
And the course provides some great phrases for suggesting activities, inviting people, and confirming details.
Phrases like, do you want to? Let's. And what time are we meeting?
Yeah.
These are the building blocks of social interaction, helping us connect with people and create shared experiences.
And I think it's important to remember that even if you're not a native English speaker, you can still be the one to initiate plans.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to reach out to people, suggest activities, and take the lead in building those social connections.
It's about being proactive and creating opportunities for meaningful interactions.
I love that. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this part. We've explored how to talk about daily routines, habits, likes and dislikes, and even how to make plans for the future.
And in part 3 of our deep dive, we'll tackle some even more practical scenarios that can really enhance your confidence in navigating the English-speaking world.
Stay tuned as we explore the art of giving and receiving directions, those crucial phrases for handling emergencies, and even how to navigate those tricky situations where you might need to disagree politely. Welcome back to our deep dive into essential English conversation skills.
We're in the final stretch of our journey today.
Yeah, exploring those practical scenarios,
Right.
that can really make a difference in your everyday interactions.
In parts 1 and 2, we covered a lot of ground.
Yes.
Greetings, introductions, routines, likes and dislikes. Even future plans we talked about, expressing yourself, building connections, and really getting those conversational muscles working.
And now we're going to kind of zoom in
Yeah.
on some specific situations
Okay.
that you're likely to encounter in an English-speaking environment.
Right.
Think of this as your toolkit
Yeah.
for navigating the real world.
I love that analogy.
So let's start with a scenario that can either be a breeze or a total headache.
Cool.
Giving and receiving directions. The course material really emphasizes that this isn't just about finding your way around.
Right.
It's about feeling confident and independent.
It's about having the language to explore new places and engage with your surroundings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the material starts by building a solid vocabulary foundation. Terms like street, avenue, intersection, traffic light, block those words that paint a mental map for both the speaker and the listener.
It's like learning the parts of a car before you try to drive it.
Yeah.
You need to know what each piece does before you can put it all together.
Right. And once you have those pieces in place, the source provides those clear, actionable phrases we all need. Go straight ahead, turn left, right. It's on your left, right. It's about 2 blocks down, the building blocks of any good set of directions.
And I think it's important to point out that the tone and delivery can be just as important as the words themselves.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If you're giving directions, try to speak clearly and slowly, especially if the person you're talking to isn't a native English speaker.
That's such a great point.
Yeah.
I remember being on the receiving end of some very rapid-fire directions in a foreign country,
Right.
and I just felt completely overwhelmed. I couldn't process the information fast enough.
And that's where those clarifying questions come in. Could you repeat that? Can you speak a bit slower? Can you show me on a map?
Yes.
Don't be afraid to ask for clarification if you need it.
Absolutely. It's much better to ask a question than to end up completely lost.
Right.
And the source material also encourages using landmarks as reference points when giving directions. So instead of just saying turn left in 2 blocks, you'd say turn left after you pass the big park with the fountain.
That visual cue can make all the difference.
Yeah.
It's like painting a picture with words,
Right.
helping the listener create a mental map of the route.
It's so much easier to remember a landmark than an abstract number of blocks.
Yes,
Yeah, we've navigated our way through the world of directions.
we have.
Now let's shift gears to a more serious topic. Emergency English.
Okay.
This is where clear communication can literally be a lifesaver.
The source material gets straight to the point, providing those essential phrases for urgent situations. I need help. Call an ambulance. I'm lost. Can you help me find a hospital? Phrases you hope you'll never need but are crucial to have in your vocabulary.
And I think what's so striking about these phrases is their simplicity.
Yeah.
In an emergency, it's not about complex grammar or fancy vocabulary.
Right.
It's about getting your message across quickly and effectively.
Exactly. It's about using those short, powerful phrases that are universally understood.
And don't underestimate the importance of nonverbal communication in an emergency situation.
Right.
Maintaining eye contact, speaking in a clear and calm voice, and using hand gestures to point or direct those can all be incredibly helpful in conveying your message.
It's about using all the tools at your disposal to ensure that you're understood and that you get the help you need.
So true. All right, we've tackled directions in emergency.
We have.
Now let's explore a situation that can sometimes feel just as stressful.
Okay.
Disagreeing politely.
Hmm?
This is where the art of diplomacy comes in.
Right. The source material doesn't explicitly address this topic.
Yeah.
but it lays the groundwork by emphasizing respect and clarity in communication.
And those principles are key when you find yourself in a situation where you need to express a different viewpoint without causing offense or damaging a relationship.
Oh, let's brainstorm some phrases that can help you navigate those tricky disagreements instead of a blunt, "No, you're wrong."
Right.
You could try something like, "I understand your perspective, but I see things a bit differently."
That acknowledges the other person's viewpoint while creating space for you to express your own.
Exactly. Or instead of, "That's a terrible idea," you could say, "I'm not sure that's the best approach. Have you considered?" It's less judgmental and more focused on finding a solution.
And I think sometimes a simple, "I appreciate your input, but I'm going to go with my gut on this one," can be effective.
Yeah.
It shows respect while also asserting your own decision-making power.
It's a delicate balance, but it's a skill worth mastering. And remember, sometimes the best way to disagree is to simply agree to disagree. Not every conversation needs a winner and a loser.
That's such a valuable reminder. Sometimes it's okay to just let things be and move on.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we've reached the end of our deep dive into English conversation essentials.
We have
We've covered a lot of ground today,
a lot of ground.
from those initial greetings to handling those tricky disagreements.
And you've now got a solid foundation for navigating a wide range of everyday situations.
And remember, the key is practice.
Yes.
Use these phrases, make mistakes, learn from them, and most importantly, enjoy the journey
Exactly.
of becoming a more confident and fluent English speaker.
There's a whole world of conversations waiting to be had.
What will you say next?